Hey, Mac, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. We finally got to the conclusion of King in Black.
We have. I'm kind of. Are you going to be okay?
This was incredibly exciting. I mean, we'll talk about this issue, but I want to reread everything already.
Okay, so I mean, before we get into specific issues, did you have trouble figuring out where you're supposed to start this week?
Yeah, you know what I actually had to do? I went back to last week's Symbiote Spider-Man and used the checklist from that because that laid it out the best for me. And I didn't want to accidentally see any spoilers trying to get to the last page or anything. So
yeah, so I have it digitally. So I opened up the first page. Usually I'll say, sometimes I'll say, read this before you read, or read whatever before this. So I didn't see it. So then I went to the last page to see if it gave the checklist, and it didn't because it was over. And then I was like, okay, so I guessed right, but I guessed.
Yeah, I would have guessed wrong, and then I was like, no, wait, let me go back and make sure I'm reading the right one.
So where are we starting today?
Let's jump right into King in Black here, and we'll go with the ones in order. So Venom number 34 is our first one this week. What were your thoughts on this one?
I liked this one. I guess that's what I have to say about it. I liked the sort of Venom Eddie Brock relationship. I was going to say symbiotic relationship, but that seems a little too obvious. And I liked this issue. There's not much difference between a Venom issue and a King in Black issue in this sort of world. So, but I enjoyed it. You?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. This actually, I blew through this issue. I read it in, I don't know, a couple of minutes and got to that last panel. And I audibly screamed, no, I need more. And then I remembered I have 2 more King in Black issues to read today. So I was like, oh, right, never mind. Okay, we're going to get to our answers here.
Yeah, it was really a 1-2 punch. It's almost like it was one big issue. It didn't feel, I don't know, like I couldn't, even thinking back, I'm not even quite sure where Venom ended and King of Black started, but I liked it because, in the next issue we get into the sort of climax, but it gave us that one more moment of kind of explaining it. I don't know I don't think I would have enjoyed King in Black if I didn't read this issue, because as we get into, we can talk about when we get into that title, but I feel like this really set up the emotional stakes of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas King in Black is, sort of executing the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, this issue, I mean, it is just a Venom tie-in issue, but it gave us some really big moments, that felt like they would be in the main title. And then it gave us, like I said, that big cliffhanger ending, and actually did still give us another cliffhanger that we didn't really get an answer to in King in Black. So I'm really looking forward to more of what's coming in the future with Venom and everything that's going to happen. But
not giving away too much. King in Black has not really made me. It made me excited for the future of Venom. I know Ryan Stegman's run is ending, but it made me more excited for the periphery symbiotes a lot more.
Yeah.
But I don't want to start naming names because that could be a little bit of a spoiler. But obviously he's been having conversations with dead Flash Thompson, and I love the Venom, Agent Venom run. I just thought it was a unique take on the character. And Flash Thompson trying to redeem himself with everything he's been through. He's sort of like if Eddie Brock had made better choices, you would end up with Flash Thompson. But
yeah, very true. And speaking of, our next issue that we're going to talk about is going to be Planet of the Symbiotes. This was number 3, and this has been sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? Like an anthology almost sort of thing going along with King in Black, where each issue has had 2 different stories, and then they don't follow through, which is kind of unfortunate because going back to the last couple, I really want to know what happened after those issues. And I was kind of disappointed with this one.
I was disappointed with this one in that, I mean, I think it's the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
And I felt like it set up futures for characters, but not futures that we know are coming.
Right.
So it was like it's, you know how every once in a while, like they'll do like, here's the start. This is the comic that's going to launch the next Age of Tomorrow comics. And I was like 6 pages on a bunch of different stories. And that's kind of the way this one felt, except without the thing at the bottom that says this story will continue in, and you know, so you're like, is this just, you know, COVID stories we'll never see, or you know, and you know, part of it is the legacy of comics never sort of wrapping up some of their stories as creative teams change, and you know, you're just like, this is a great setup, but I don't even know when if the payoff is coming, let alone when. So, and especially, I kind of felt like this really needed to be, after you read Venom, this is kind of like, you know how like when you watch Return of the Jedi and, you know, you have the Emperor and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker battling, and then it cuts away to Ewoks, like, and I mean, I love Ewoks, but you're like, no, like this, like, I want to see this battle between good and evil, not like handmade slingshots at this moment.
Right.
And I kind of felt like this is kind of, I kind of felt like I was trying to get to King of Black 5 while I was reading this.
Yeah, that is a really good comparison. I did think it was weird that they put this in like where they did on the checklist, because that it falls in between these 2 issues and it felt like it really didn't belong. I also, obviously based on this cover here, you can tell Cloak and Dagger are a big part of the first story. And I thought, you know, I was excited. I was like, cool, we're going to get these 2 great characters involved in this story. We haven't seen them yet. And I'm excited to see where they go. And I actually didn't enjoy their story so much. I actually liked the second one a lot more, which was, like you said, one of those periphery symbiote characters, this one being Toxin. So it was really cool that story was very surprisingly enjoyable, I thought, and left with a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. And I agree on all that. And I guess that's kind of where, you know, I felt like, okay, so I mean, when you have a creator leave a title, you always wonder, like, is these things going to keep going? And maybe they will, but you know, I want to know what happens to Toxin, and I don't know where to go to find it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. That is a little bit frustrating. And I mean, even more so with the previous issues, because like I said, I really, really liked some of those other stories. I mean, the reincarnation of Cletus Cassidy's great grandfather and him becoming a symbiote. What's going to happen with that? I want to see that play out, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if we get to see that play out.
Well, and the next Venom issue doesn't come out till June, and then, you know, presumably they'll announce what's coming, you know, with symbiotes after that. So maybe you know, they're leading up to something, it just hasn't been announced yet, but we'll find out.
Yeah, but in the meantime, let's talk about King in Black number 5. I mean, we've been raving about this crossover since it started, which feels like so long ago at this point. To finally get to this finale, I mean, it was everything I wanted. There was one little aspect that I was slightly disappointed in, and that's me being very nitpicky. But I'm curious to get your thoughts, see if you agree with me on that.
I don't know. I didn't read your review yet, but I liked it. I just felt that once he got, you know, the power, the light, the Omega,
the Enigma Force.
Yeah. You know, for the Captain Universe power, right? Like, I just thought it got really one-sided really fast.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a little tropey with, I mean, we've seen so many cool Null battles, you know, where it goes back and forth, there's trickery, to just kind of get a power from the sky and then just beat them up, literally. I felt it was a little bit like it kind of wrapped it up too nice in a bow. But what I think redeemed the issue for me was just after that, you know, the you know, the stuff with Dylan, the status quo it leaves between Eddie Brock and the symbiote Venom. That I really liked. I just felt that it was a little too much of, it kind of came across like, and then Hulk bashes in and smashes the guy, and then it's over. Like, it just felt a little too convenient, given everything. I kind of would have liked to see that storytelling a little bit more thought out.
Yeah, and I mean, you nailed it. That was the exact part that I had a slight issue with. I mean, I get it. Like we have been. This story ended up getting drawn out for a long, long time based on just the way the schedule got all mixed up. But I get that we had to wrap it up. I want to see more of Null. I think he's just such a great villain, and I hope that wasn't the end for Null. Not to spoil things, but I mean, how comic books end.
Yeah, and I think that if they had set up the Enigma Force earlier on, in a way that it came. I think it really came into prevalence in King of Black 4, when Silver Surfer kind of came.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it just sort of felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, it makes sense, right? You battle darkness with light.
Right.
Makes sense. I get that. But it just felt like, a comic book where you can literally make any story you want, there has to be reasons. There can always be an alien that comes and saves you from the day. But I just felt like it would just, since I had so many issues, it would have been great to see like a tie-in kind of setting this up. Because dark fighting light, I can't imagine is just like the novel concept from, wherever. Like, I mean, this has been going on. And I mean, we've read every tie-in, I think. So it's not like I missed something, I don't think.
Right.
But, I think I did love the sort of combination of the Silver Surfer's board with Mjolnir into a light-powered axe. I thought was cool. But basically, I like the second half more than I like the first half.
Yeah, that's fair. A couple points I want to make on this issue before we move on to issue number 4 was where they outright said the Enigma Force was involved. But going back to like the origins of Null and previous comic stuff, they do kind of hint at it. So they did kind of slowly build this up over time. They just didn't outright tell you what it was. Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think a tie-in on the Enigma Force and Captain Universe, whatever you want to call it, would have been beneficial for sure.
Yeah, and I think, I only read from basically King and Black, a couple issues of Venom, but when they started setting it up. So I know this has been going on since, this Venom run. Noel, I didn't read everything with Noel in it, but, I think it would have been nice, even if it was just sort of like one of those clip show comics that kind of was like, here's the recap, and there's little hints of it, but and this is still the best event I've read in a long time. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't, it's not that it doesn't live up to the great events. It just doesn't live up to the first 4 issues of the series.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I should mention, by the way, this is my pick of the week. I think we could have penciled that in a long time ago.
I could have gotten that.
Also, there have been 2 moments in my comic book reading life that have, I saw them happen in the comic, and they actually, brought me out of my seat with excitement. One of them was in a Moon Knight comic a long time ago when it was revealed that he was actually talking to himself and not Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. And then the other one was in this issue. I won't say what it was, but I got really excited.
You got put it in the chat, the private chat, so I know what you're talking about.
All right. But yeah, I mean, this whole series just had such huge moments, and I mean, this issue really delivered on that too. And I think I want to withhold judgment as far as how much I obviously love this whole crossover event, but I'm going to withhold judgment as far as ranking it goes, because I want to revisit it all when we have everything all at once, and I can read everything in the order that I'm supposed to be reading them in, and kind of decide there, because right now I think it would be just behind for me, Civil War and Secret Invasion are probably the only two that stand out above
I
this.
would probably agree with you. I do have a soft spot for AVX, but
yeah, that is a great one too.
But as I said, I thought this was sort of masterfully executed, and yeah, I mean, and I don't mean to be down on it because it's still a great issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything was so perfect leading up to this that I also feel it would have helped if there was a week between Venom and King of Black 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And again, I mean, it comes down to the scheduling. That was really the only weak point of this whole event.
Yeah, and I guess it's just frustrating because they're they control it to a degree.
Yeah,
they don't need to release it when they release it. It's
right.
It's not, but whatever.
Yeah, who knows what issues they were having there. But,
yeah, still one of it's definitely the best event in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say since we started doing this show, but yeah, you're probably right. Like way before that as well.
Yeah. In terms of big crossover, I mean, I love some of these smaller sort of embedded, but these are in terms of epic X-Men, Avengers, everyone else loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing Spider-Man. You notice that when you open this comic digitally, it has a different cover as like a placeholder cover, and then when you actually open it, it has this cover because when they solicited it, he didn't have his new suit yet, so it has.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So this is my pick of the week.
Okay.
And it's probably a little reactionary because I'm having a little bit of event fatigue, and I love supporting casts of characters like Spider-Man. And here you get, I mean, it's not really even Spider-Man's story in this issue. It's
right.
It focuses on Tombstone, Robbie Robertson, their progeny. And, I mean, going to DC, like when I read Spider-Man, like I loved like when he was at the Daily Planet. I love J. Jonah Jameson. And so getting a chance to kind of bring him back down to earth, literally, is just sort of the break I needed.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think this also, I mean, takes even a bigger step further back that, you mentioned it's not a Spider-Man story, really. It's not really even a superhero story. It's a very human story. And, I really like that. And it did kind of, coming off the excitement of King in Black, I probably should have read these two before I read the King in Black ones. But, it was nice. It was a nice break. But it was kind of like that adrenaline dump after King in Black. So, but it was it was a good issue for sure.
Yeah, I definitely read Avengers in this before I read the King. Yeah. If you are a fan of like the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon, like, I mean, it's a different reality, but this is very in that vein of, everyone kind of knows each other and it makes New York feel like there's 12 people living there.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I had that exact thought in one of the first couple of pages. There's a moment where Kingpin is saying, something like, "Wouldn't you think so, Baron Mordo?" And you look up and it's Baron Mordo there. I was like, that feels like it was taken right from that cartoon. So yeah, had that same exact thought. And our final issue of the week is Avengers number 44. And this is continuing that Phoenix saga. Concluding, maybe? I mean, I'm not sure where they're going.
To me, it's not a bad comic book. And, it's neat to see I mean, we talked about it. I love seeing the Phoenix Forced heroes. But I don't get it. We've been doing this for months. I mean, how long would Captain America and T'Challa need to fight each other? And then I would have presumed this kind of led into Heroes Reborn.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, maybe it does, but it's not obvious if it does. Mm-hmm. You do find out who the new Phoenix host is in this. But
very surprising.
It was very surprising. maybe not as surprising given some MCU news we had in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But it was very surprising. But because then the next issue is the King in Black tie-in.
Yeah, that's what got me too. Because it ends, I mean, literally saying, coming up next, King in Black, and talking about some of the details of that. And it's like, we just finished that. We should, switch things here.
It's like when I was like in 6th grade, we went to Disneyland, and then my school took a trip to Great America. There's no point in going to Great America after you go to Disney, like a week after you go to Disneyland, unless you're local or something. You just go like, this would have been fun if I just went to like the really cool version,
right?
But I do feel like, and I love Jason Aaron, and I don't mean to like bring him down, but I feel like this Avengers run, even the Khonshu run, which we found out today actually led to something, but just felt like so much vamping of like, here's the idea. Now we're going to show this guy battling this guy. Now this guy battling that, and that's just an issue. And there's no like plot. And we saw that the Phoenix Force was Thor's mom, and kind of ties to this whole like Avengers 10,000 BC thing,
right?
But kind of left that like, what was the point of that at the end? And so, I understand comic storytelling is very long form, but sometimes you do want sort of satisfaction at the end.
Sure.
And especially like, I don't know what's going on with the scheduling, but there's something funky, because why would you do the whole Moon Knight saga and then 4 months later tell us you're doing the Moon Knight series spinning off of that?
Yeah.
I feel like there's something here too, where it's like, you don't just name the Phoenix Force and then go back to King in Black.
Mm-hmm.
And unless if you said, hey, this is going to lead to something in 3 months. I mean, we know the comic's essentially 3 months out, so I don't get it. But I don't want to rant and rave, but I just felt like it was more. I couldn't tell you anything. You could have done this in one issue. Yeah,
one or two, definitely shorter than what it ended up being. But I do think, I agree. I think it was played out too long. It was a lot of the same stuff over and over again. I am interested to see where it goes from here, and when we will see that. Like we said, it's a very interesting character. At the end, the interesting choice to go with. Some cool stuff did happen. Anytime you get a Captain America saying "kicked Logan in the cobblers," that's always a fun issue. Right. So,
and there's some great dialogue too. I'm giving them some slack in that COVID ruined plans and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I just, universe as a universe needs a little direction, and coordination.
Yeah.
Just looking ahead, you have Heroes Reborn happening the same time you're having the Hellfire Gala, and those are obviously two different worlds of the Marvel Universe, but that's a lot of event and happening all at the same time. And I understand that now maybe we still may be getting sort of back on track, but I hope in the next 6 months or so we kind of go to a more you have stories and there's an event, and you have stories and there's an event, because the Phoenix picking a new host should be a bigger deal than it was.
Yeah.
And then I shouldn't have to go back to the event that happened before that.
Right. I do like that they did give us some involvement from Jean Grey. I thought that was long overdue. So,
right.
And not much involvement, but a little bit. And we'll see again. Maybe she.
An important involvement. It wasn't just like a dial in.
Right.
Okay. So this would be my least pick of the week. Just it's not that I didn't like it. I'm just tired of this.
Yeah.
Thing we're doing.
I think I would still take this over the Planet of the Symbiotes this week, but and I did like all of our issues this week for the most part. It was really just that Cloak and Dagger story that didn't hit for me, but But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, this was definitely close to the bottom. So we've had some. Well, I guess first, I'm assuming you have some thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I do. So we got to talk about Zemo.
Okay. His dance moves, right? That's what you want to talk about?
It makes no continuity sense of him going full Zemo like he is in this series, where suddenly he's a Baron and finds a mask left in some antique car. But I love it.
I think they can piece it all together eventually. I mean, they've explained away that he was rich beforehand.
No, I mean, it's a total retcon, and that's okay. Sure, I'm okay with it. But in this series where it's very grounded,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you got some, racism and stuff, it's nice to have something just pure comic stupid in the best way, right? Like, right. And so, and then it was great to see Sharon again with sort of that, I don't know what's going on with her. There's more than meets the eye on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can't help but think that somehow this is going to tie into Black Widow.
It does seem like that, yeah.
And so I'm curious to see how this all comes together. But, the first episode, the first 10 minutes are amazing. And then, it just felt very, Knots Landing. It just felt very... I have problems. I'm hurt. And you want your superhero. I mean, just like you want Peter Parker to have problems. Yeah. You also want Peter Parker to be Spider-Man. And I felt like in the second episode we kind of got when they got together, you had that fun dynamic. Mm-hmm. And then in the third episode, it just really hit. They're not friends, but they're I hate to use the term frenemies, but they're not gonna murder each other. They don't hate each other, but they don't like each other. But they have the same North Star of Steve Rogers. So when you hear "Man with the Plan," Star Spangled Man with the Plan, it just this is what it's all about. Shameless plug: I did interview Henry Jackman, the composer. So that will probably go up on Tuesday. So
that's awesome.
Hear what he has to say about that. What do you think?
I'm loving it right now. I'm hoping for more of that comic stupid you mentioned. Yeah. I want Zemo fully, Norn stones and a sword. I want him to go. I don't think we see that in this series probably, but I'm hoping this actually leads to thunderbolts down the line for him. We'll see what ends up happening with him this series, but. There's a lot. You mentioned there's a lot more than meets the eye with Sharon Carter. I mean, plenty of theories there. Noteworthy, she's not allowed. She wasn't using an iPhone, so that's out there.
Explain it to me.
Yeah, so Apple doesn't allow villains to use iPhones in projects like this. So she wasn't using one. That doesn't necessarily mean she is a villain, but it means it's still on the table. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's legal, but I definitely get Thunderbolt vibe. This could all kind of between Black Widow, this. I mean, you have Taskmaster showing up. And I'm loving it, and I don't want to say nervous, but. It was a jolt from going from WandaVision to that first episode where, so you're trying to get a loan. It just
right.
But now that it's going, I'm sad that there's only 3 more episodes.
Oh, definitely. And also we should mention too, I mean, putting Wakanda in the mix now too. I mean, there's so many different sides to this story. This is going to be really exciting the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. So were you surprised that she showed up in that last shot?
Yeah, I said on Zacks of Life that this was the biggest surprise ending of any episode since.
Even after you saw the beads.
Well, so yeah, because I still didn't think she like a
Okay.
member of the Dora was going to show up there. I thought there was just going to be some sort of message. But I mean, yeah, I was tipped off, obviously, that Wakanda was involved. And I mean, starting from that moment, that whole ending there, was a huge surprise. I did not expect Wakanda to be involved in this story at all.
Well, and to me, what was neat, if going back, they set it up, with Falcon talking about, the White Wolf and, White Panther.
Wakandans forgot what happened. And
yeah, and it makes sense because that's where he was, chilling out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was now you realize it's a callback, but you didn't realize it when you first said it because it's just small talk. So that I thought that was brilliantly done.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, Kevin Feige, man. Speaking of Kevin Feige, should we plug tomorrow?
Yeah, I guess if we're allowed to talk about it, sure.
You didn't tell me I'm not. If you're going to email a press email out, you should tell them you're not allowed to talk about it. Tomorrow, Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, is doing a presentation about the future. And Kevin Feige is going to be one of the speakers. So presumably he's talking about Marvel at parks or beyond. But, we'll see. Follow us tomorrow. All day.
Yeah.
Laughing Place.
We'll definitely have a lot to say, I'm sure. I'm excited for that.
Okay. What's next?
Well, we can run through a few quick hitters as far as news goes real quick. Some comic news. We know Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley will be reuniting for Spider-Man Life Story Annual #1. So that's going to be fun. I mean, they did Spider-Man Life Story back in 2019, so fun to get back to that.
What's your experience like with Chip Zdarsky?
Honestly, none of his titles come to mind right off the bat. I remember him more in name than I do in work. I guess probably because Chip Zdarsky. When
the pandemic started, Joe Quesada did these what do they called it? Like morning wake ups or something. It was like a online stream that he would interview comic creators, and they were great. He interviewed like Christopher Priest and Kevin Smith and all these things. It was live, so you could engage. The one he did with Chip Zdarsky was shirtless, laying in bed. Like, he literally just like Joe Quesada woke him up. So I don't know that I've ever seen Chip Zdarsky with a shirt on, which is unfortunate.
Interesting. All right, not the kind of experience you typically get with a comic book writer.
Yeah. Comic-Con After Dark. Okay.
We did also get to see some character designs and hear about some new characters from the upcoming The Marvels series.
I am excited about that. It is guaranteed going to be one of our ship comics. I love The Marvels.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear because I wasn't sure. I never know on a weekly basis what we're actually going to end up picking up because there's just so many great titles out there. But yeah, so that's fun. Let me see if I can pull this up for you real quick too. There we go. And so here's some of the new characters that we'll be meeting in the Marvels, including Threadneedle, Kevin Schumer, which, sure, Lady Lotus, and Warbird. So some interesting new looks. Some of these characters, Lady Lotus especially, I thought was a very different look. I mean, kind of Asgardian almost. So I'm excited to see what we get there. As far as some merchandise goes, we got this new Lego Venom bust coming. And this is actually April 26th. This will be out soon. So good timing with King in Black wrapping up.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of the Lego bust, but
yeah.
Because part of the fun of the Lego is playing.
Sure.
And like I don't know. I can't imagine having just like a Lego Venom bust staring at me while I'm watching TV.
Right. Yeah. It's also a little weird. Like he has a lot of underbite there. I'm not sure.
Right.
But that being said, I will add anything Venom to my collection. So we did also get a new trailer for Black Widow. I tried my hardest not to watch it. I don't want to see any more of this movie until I can actually see the movie. But of course, I had to watch it. So, yeah.
I will say with Marvel though, I feel like the trailers are part of the story. Like
Yeah.
they try and tell you something with the trailer that it wants you to know, to totally manipulate you. I mean, there's shots in the trailers that aren't in the movie to trick you. So it's not like you never have the problem of like you show me the last shot kind of situation.
Right.
In the last right. But so I don't know. I feel it's different with Marvel. Like that's part of the fun.
Yeah, I do agree. But I mean, it's been 2 years since we got the first trailer for this movie. Like, I don't need any more. Just give me the movie. We did get a trailer for Loki that I was very excited about. There was a lot to see in this. I mean, right in this one of the first couple shots here, it's kind of tough. It's a blink and you miss it kind of spot here, but there's a Skrull right in there. I mean, you got sort of what looks like homages to the Council of Kangs. So, I mean, there was a lot to see. So you can go back and check out this piece right here. I mean, Roxxon clearly involved here as well. So you can go back and check this piece out and all of the interesting details from this trailer.
Can't wait.
I know this series has gone. I think it was at the bottom of my list as far as the new series, and since hearing and seeing more of it, I cannot wait for this one. Now this is like skyrocketing up my list.
So like May's gonna be hard.
Just in terms of all of the stuff we're getting?
All the stuff we're not getting, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I see. Yeah, right. Because May is now that sort of dead zone because post Falcon and Winter Soldier, pre-Loki, pre-Black Widow now too. Yeah. It's definitely going to be tough.
What else you got?
Last little piece of news. I mean, just the Marvel MasterCard program is ending.
I know. I have a Marvel MasterCard, and it's actually a good deal. You get 3% cash back, like, and you get benefits, and there's no annual fee. So that might be part of the problem. Yeah, I'm curious to see if like the Disney Visa program will adopt Marvel.
Yeah, that seems to be like the whole reason for why this would be, this would work together here. So, I'll always value my Captain America MasterCard. Of course.
The hard parts now I got to find out wherever, like whatever auto pay is on that card to make sure I switch it before.
One more thing that you alluded to briefly earlier, we did find out minutes before we started here today that we'll be getting that new Moon Knight series. That's coming July 7th. And that's from writer Jed McKay, who was doing the Black Cat series that we talked about on here before and enjoyed. So I am really excited for that. Can't wait for a new Moon Knight.
I know I was gone last week because, life. But Black Cat last week was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really great. The only issue with it was the scheduling. Was I wanted to get more of the King in Black story that she was involved in, and
yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. Hopefully that resolves itself now that we are out of the big crossover event, and by the time we get into the next one, hopefully things piece together a little bit better. But who knows?
Yeah, Heroes Reborn, right?
Yeah, that might just reset everything. We'll see.
I don't know. It's weird because it doesn't tie in. There's no it's not in the main titles, right? It's just Heroes Reborn plus all these spinoffs.
Well, so right. Yes, you're right about that. They did drop a little tease that last week when we saw the Ghost Rider issue, we saw Mephisto. We finally saw Mephisto return to the throne of hell, and apparently that's going to have some role in Heroes Reborn. So I'm very interested to see how that connects. I don't know. I'm excited for it now.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I guess that's all I got to say about that. So what do we got coming up? We've got another episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, well, on Friday we'll have that, and then on Monday we'll have another episode of Zacks of Life podcast, breaking it down.
What was your draft last week?
last week we drafted, tying into the big blockbuster movie that was recently released, we drafted characters to stop or handle a Godzilla attack. So you can check that out right now. It's our latest episode.
What's the name of the little creature in Spider-Man right now?
Oh, Gog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Who's your guest this week?
Our guest this week was Jeremiah.
Oh,
yeah.
So nothing like being DC boy to talk about Marvel.
Yeah. He did struggle to just pick Marvel characters, but we made him stick to the rules.
Fing Fang Foom. So next week we get a King in Black tie-in.
Which makes sense now.
King in Black Namor #5. We got the next issue of Black Cat. And finally that Guardians of the Galaxy run we've been teased.
Right.
And Fantastic Four. So some good stuff.
Sounds like a good lineup.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll be back on Monday with Marvel Monday.
Yeah.
Dissecting all of the goodness that is coming from
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, remember like when there was like one Disney Plus show you wanted to watch every week? So there was like Mandalorian and stuff. So we got to screen Big Shot.
Oh, okay.
Which I loved. And I also love Mighty Ducks.
Yes,
so
I'm also loving Mighty Ducks.
3 shows a week that, I mean, granted, like Falcon you got to watch because no one's like, I mean, I can't imagine there's like major Mighty Duck spoilers going out there. But, there's 3 shows I'm going to start watching. Got one more week till Big Shot starts, but you'll have, that's a lot of great stuff coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah, hopefully that'll bridge the gap, the Marvel gap for us as we're waiting. We can get more Mighty Ducks and some Big Shot. And I'm sure there's
Bad Batch should help bridge the gap. I think that's starting right after Falcon.
Which one was that?
Bad Batch.
Oh, yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
So, and starts with a 70-minute episode on May 4th.
Interesting. All right.
And if you haven't listened to not this week's, but last week's Acts of Life, Mike actually interviewed the composer of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, who also is working on the Bad Batch. So kind of teases a little bit about where that show's going.
That'll be on Who's the Boss, by the way, not Zacks of Life.
That is true.
Although Mike was on Zacks of Life.
80s themed podcasts. In any case, what else we got? Oh, well, tomorrow we'll be at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. And then just trust us. Follow us tomorrow. It's going to be big. Yeah, bigger than Madonna. Bye, everybody.
Bye.